Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you today about the struggles and the challenges of leading from the middle. This is not an easy job. In fact, middle-level leaders are reported to be the highest stressed, most anxious, and most depressed about their job than any other worker group. There's only a 5% job satisfaction. They have tremendous amounts of anxiety, a lot of worry that goes along with that, and they're just more or less burnt out. Right? Except here's what the Rock in the Hard Place stands for. The Rock is like your leader, your senior leader. Right? They're carrying this heavy burden. If you know anything about senior leadership, you know that they're really results-oriented. They got to get stuff done. It's about the numbers for them. They have a tremendous amount of weight on their shoulders, and they have to lift this weight. And then we move over to the hard place, and this is our employees. It's a team that we work with. It's a hard place because they're kind of trapped in a cage, if you will. They want to do more. They want to be more empowered. They want to have more authority, but oftentimes because of lack of skill, training, or just simply because we've not given them the permission, they're stuck in that hard place. When I look at this, I think about middle-level leaders and I think, gosh, we're in this most incredible place where we can solve two problems at one time. We're at a place where we can come over to our senior leader and we can actually help lift that load. We recognize there's a load. Sometimes we add to the load, honestly. But what could we do? What could we do if we actually help lift this leader's load? And I've got 5 strategies I'm going to share with you on how we can lift the leader's load and make it so their job is easier, getting us to be more noticed by our senior leadership. And then I'm going to share with you what we can do with these other people we call our employees. Again, they're trapped in a cage. And the number one thing I think we could do with our employees is free them from their cage. How can we empower? How can we delegate? How can we support? How can we give them authority to be able to really blossom and fulfill the potential that they have? So how can we free them from the cage that we've put them into? Now, I imagine that many of us find ourselves in that situation too. We often give people fish instead of teaching them how to fish. We often tell them or try to solve the problems for them. That's a mistake in leadership. If we truly want to be able to free our employees, if we want to be able to empower them, we have to shift this whole mental mindset. We have to get to this place where we are actually developing them and helping them grow in their own abilities to solve their own problems. So let me tell you a story about Victor and Eric and why Victor thinks that this whole delegation piece doesn't work at all. So Victor is a middle-level leader at a cheese manufacturing plant. He's a guy that I was working with, actually. And we taught him all these, different steps about delegation and empowerment. He totally understood, the 3 different steps that we have for delegation, DIE, and he understands that, delegate or die. I mean, he got that. And so he wanted to put it into practice. And one day, a year, they shut this entire cheese organization down. All the plant gets shut down for cleaning and maintenance. Otherwise, they're going 24/7. So there's a lot of things that are on Victor's plate to get done during this day. And he turned to his employee, Eric, and he said, Eric, here's the deal. There are some gaskets that end up going into each one of our cheese machines, and we need to, kind of undo the pipe and replace these gaskets. That's what I'd like you to do. And Eric kind of knew how to do that, and so Eric was like, sure, I can be able to do that. Sure enough, Eric goes off to do this job, and about 10 minutes later, Eric comes back to Victor and he says, Victor, I've got a problem. I can't find the specialized wrench that I need to undo the pipe couplings at the end. Well, being a good leader and recognizing that, as leaders, we're here to solve problems, Victor says, that's fine. I think I know where it is. Let me, give me a few minutes. I'll go see if I can find where that tool is at. So Eric goes on his way, and Victor starts to look for this tool. But if you know anything about leadership, Victor gets distracted because somebody comes and asks a question here. A couple more minutes later, gets distracted again, another question. Then there's a problem. Then there's a fire. And one thing leads to another. 3 hours later, Victor recognized, oh my gosh, I never found that wrench for Eric. Shoot. He looks at his clock, and he realized that Eric's shift ends in 10 minutes. So what does Victor do? Just like many of us, Victor says, well, I guess I have to do that. He goes, he searches a couple spots, and he actually finds a wrench. And then he works overtime, past beyond the shift that he was working. He misses his dinner with his family, gets all of the gaskets cleaned out, and he thinks to himself, this Jason Hunt is full of, because he doesn't understand delegation. It backfired on him. This is one way that we can be able to teach other people how to fish. It's one way how we can keep the monkey of responsibility on the backs of our employees. Stop taking that monkey back. It's their responsibility. It's not our responsibility. Our job is to help them solve their problems. And as we do that, we empower them, we help them grow in their skills and abilities, and we keep our plate freer so we can manage our work-life balance. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me teach you the fourth tool about how we can be able to empower our employees. And this tool is called the cycle of empowerment. So we've spoken a lot about delegation, how we can delegate to other people, and that's good. Delegation, though, is usually for those simpler tasks, things that don't need a tremendous amount of training or education to do. Empowerment, on the other hand, requires a little more of a process. So there's actually a 5-step process. We've already talked about the first step here, which is you need to be able to do it well. You can't teach something that you don't know. So you need to be able to do it well. The second step of this process is being able to show or coach people how to go through the process. So my son Ethan, when he was 9 years old, he's my oldest son, when he was 9 years old, he came to me and he said, "Dad, I want to mow the lawn." Now I know for a lot of you, they'd be like, "Hallelujah! Yes, please, here's a lawnmower, you go for it, it's all yours." That's not how it was with me though. You see, I grew up in Utah, and Utah's a desert, but despite the fact that it's a desert, we all have meticulously green lawns. We have nice sprinkler systems, and I was a landscaper through my high school and college years during the summers. So I worked a lot on these lawns. And if we know anything about lawns, there's some really important things. The crisp line that we get when we come through the edge, really, really important. The straight lines when we mow, really, really important. I mean, this lawn has to look good. And so that's how my lawn has been. Even though I've moved to the Midwest, I still keep those same standards to my lawn. So when my 9-year-old asks, "Dad, can I mow the lawn?" I start freaking out. Maybe like how some of you might freak out when you're thinking about empowering somebody with a task that you do. You probably think you know how to do it best. You probably know how to do it most efficiently. And you're hesitant to give that off to somebody. That's exactly how I was at. So I sat down with him one day and I said, "Okay, Ethan, here's the deal. Here's how you start the mower. Here's how I put the bag on." And I showed him how to do a couple of lines. And then I said, "Okay, it's yours. Go ahead and mow the lawn." And I had to go into the house and actually shut the doors and not look outside or anything just to manage life a little bit. Do you know how that goes, right? You give somebody a new job or a new task and you're like, if you don't move away from the situation, you're going to micromanage so much to death, it's not going to work very well. So I had to go inside. And he comes in with his gigantic smile on his face and he's like, "Dad, I finished the lawn." I'm like, awesome. Can we go look at it? "Yeah, Dad, come on. I'm so proud to show you what I've done." And I went out there and you know what? He mowed the lawn. The waviest lines I could possibly imagine. And I thought, oh man, this boy needs so much help and so much work. You see, my problem when it comes to the cycle of empowerment is I didn't teach it thoroughly. I taught him a couple of little steps and I just assumed that he was going to figure out how to do the rest of it. When we talk about the cycle of empowerment, we're ready to empower somebody, we have to be there from the very beginning to the very end. We have to show them everything. "Ethan, here's how you start the mower. Ethan, here's how you do the first line and the second line and the third line. And gosh, there's a trampoline. Here's what we need to do. We need to move the trampoline over this way into the area that we've already mowed, and then we can mow through this area. And Ethan, wait. Do you see the spigot sitting right out here? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go around that spigot this way and around this way the second time we come by it. That's what you got to do here. So you have to show it from the very beginning to the very end. Ladies and gentlemen, when we empower other individuals, this is a true commitment to helping teach people thoroughly the processes that we use, to help them really learn what we've been able to gain from our personal experience. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. There might be some frustrations. Even though I've showed him exactly how to do it, maybe he's still going to screw it up. And that's got to be okay. We have to get over that because you know what? The first time I started mowing lawns, I was probably just as bad as my son. Imagine for just a moment in your organizations that you use this cycle of empowerment and teach people how to do certain tasks to the degree that they're teaching others on your team. We call that leadership by multiplication. I'm not just looking for followers. I'm looking to empower other people on my team, to give them the authority, to give them the skills, to give them the training that they need so they can go off and do the job successfully and teach others how to do it. It's amazing when that happens. You truly free your employees.